Hello, peace and blessings to you. I'm Jovhannah, the spiritual love healer. I am a tarot reader, intuitive healer, and coach. And today I'm going to be doing a deck review of the Lumina Tarot. So this is a very special deck review for several reasons. One, when I initially did the deck review, the energy just seemed off and I felt like I needed to connect with the deck more. So I wanted to take time to do that before really diving in and doing a review. I found this deck maybe in 2017 or 2018. I think Biddy Tarot, it was in the Biddy Tarot Planner, and then I started seeing it more and more, and I really just fell in love with this deck. I ordered mine, I think in April of this year, and it came mid-July. Lauren Aletta, I think, yes, of Inner Hue, created this deck. And she's located in Australia. So when it came, I was super surprised. I thought it was going to take a little bit longer just due to everything going on with different shipping restrictions and things like that. But I patiently waited for this deck and it came. And I did an unboxing the day that I received it, but something different happens to me when I use this deck. To me, it's a very grounding energy, and this deck feels very tribal to me in some ways from some of the designs that the artist used. I really love the incorporation of animal medicine. There's some elements of astrology, which I am learning, so I'm not the expert on astrology. I will not say that today, but it is something that I'm learning. So I really wanted you to go through the whole entire process with me, but I have a couple decks on order, so when I get those new decks, I'll just do the whole, this is what I do, the weird stuff included. But I love the Lumina Tarot deck. For one, as I have worked with it, it accesses a different part of me. And like I said, I notice when I use this deck, I talk differently. So if you watch some of my other videos, you'll see I'm really high energy. But this, for some reason, my voice is on this different wavelength or octave with this deck. I love the very subtle coloring on the cards, and I'm gonna kind of go through the cards with you. And I love that there are watercolors on the card. I won't say I am an artist. I was an artist. I had an art studio and I painted a lot. I used oils, acrylics, watercolors, gouache, you name it. Chalk, oil pastels are one of my favorites too. Soft pastels, all of that good stuff was my jam. So when I look at decks, to me, each deck itself is a work of art. And then each individual tarot card is its own museum. And for people who don't read tarot, the way that I explain it is if you've ever been to a museum and you see a painting and it reminds you of something, or it makes you feel good, it gives you some sort of insight, inspiration, or idea. It's no different than a tarot card doing the same thing. Or you watch a movie and it moves you and it just touches you in your core, and you get a profound message from the movie that maybe the message wasn't necessarily portraying. No different than tarot. So tarot is nothing to be afraid of. And I was going to start this by saying this deck scares me, and I don't mean it because tarot is scary or something like that. Tarot is nothing evil or scary, but this deck accesses something different inside me, and it's just very interesting. So let's kind of dive into the deck. So one of the things that I do when I first get a deck is I open it and I look through all of the cards after going through the book. So I'll get the deck out. The first thing I usually do is I look at the book. Why? Because this is someone's creation, and this book is the Bible basically for this deck. And I will look at how they interpret the cards, because sometimes the artwork on the cards makes more sense after you understand the deck creator's interpretation of the card. So I think it's always great to see what spreads they included, and they talk about the deck. And when I read, because Lumina means brilliant light, when I read Lauren's journey and the purpose in creating this deck. And then I'm going to talk about her oracle deck too, which I also have. Yay. It's so sacred to me. And I don't know that I've ever had a deck that felt this sacred. So because this deck is so special, I'm gonna take my time and really go through everything again with you here. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm probably gonna have to pause this because my little one is gonna be up and I'll need to get her situated and get her some breakfast going. So just be mindful of that. And I love in the guidebook that she talks about tarot being more of a mirror, and I'll read what it has here. It works best when you let go of judgment or preconceived ideas and move into the waters of your natural intuitive ability. Lean into this feeling, for it is from this place that we are able to unfold our own mystery. And I think what this deck does, and why I have this feeling that it's accessing something different in me, is because of the fact that even though there are some similarities between traditional tarot decks, the symbolism on this deck is uniquely its own. And it just evokes something different with me, with the watercolor imagery, the beautiful illustrations on the deck, and the ever so subtle colors. It just brings something different alive within me, and I can't wait to do a reading with this deck. I have not done a deck review or deck interview spread, I should say. And if you're wondering what interview spread I use, honestly, I usually customize them because each deck that I have or that I'm drawn to is for a different reason. And so after sitting with the deck for a while, then, I'll come up with some questions. And sometimes I will use the skeletons of an existing interview deck, what is your strength? What are your challenges? What are you here to show me? That kind of thing. But I kind of like to get deeper into it with my own decks. I did that with my Hoodoo Tarot deck, and woo, that was a powerful reading. So that deck and I have a very special connection too. So Lauren includes some tips on working with the cards and accessing your intuition, helping you to get centered, tapping into your inner guidance system. She includes some spreads that she calls insight spreads. There's a new and full moon insight, a chakra spread, a manifestation spread, an abundance spread. And then she goes into talking about the deck itself, the structure of the deck. So there's the major arcana, which are the 22 cards that usually represent our spiritual lesson, major themes going on in our lives. And then we have the minor arcana, which are the wands, cups, swords, pentacles, which also include the court cards. And those are kind of the day-to-day, daily things that we deal with, the events, the situation, the people. I like that she calls the major arcana the hero's journey, because it is symbolic of our growth and transformation through the lessons and experiences that we have in our life. And then the minor arcana is the marker of progress that provides guidance, insight, and support along the 4 elemental paths that make up our world. So I really love that she pulls in the elements as well, which is really, really neat. I like that. So here she goes into the different elements. I'm going to go through that with you really quick. So wands, it correlates with the fire element. And the animal that you'll see on the wands cards are the fox. And for the cups, that's water. And she uses the serpent to represent the water. That's all about, so wands is passion, creativity, inspiration, determination. It's your drive. The fire signs, Leo, Sag, Aries. And then we get into cups, that's our feeling, our intuition, the creativity, imagination, romance, dreamscapes. And that's Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. And then we have the swords, which is the air element. That's represented by the hawk, which I love. I actually saw a hawk a couple times recently, and it was just a very beautiful message. So I am very connected to like animal energy, animal medicine. So when I see that being incorporated into a deck, it makes me happy. So the hawk is going to represent air signs, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. That is your mind. It's also communication, intellect, attitude. And then the pentacles. And she also has here power, oppression, and conflict, which is really interesting. And then swift action. So that's the air element. Oh, it's really interesting. Okay, so Earth is Pentacles. That's going to be the external world, our finances, money, home, business, work, abundance, all of that, manifesting your dreams, coming into realization, which is bear energy. So we're going to see some bears in the deck, and that's going to be Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And I love how in the reversals, it is explained in this deck as the shadow, which is something that I particularly resonate with, or sometimes it's just internal energy that needs either to be expressed or dialed back or balanced in some kind of way. But I love the play on shadow, which is kind of how the Light Seers deck does it. It does the play between light and shadow. So when a card is upside down or reversed, it's up to you to decide if you want to incorporate that into your reading. Because I know a lot of people don't read reversals, and it's really interesting. I don't usually reverse my decks, but the cards will reverse on their own. So I do incorporate reversals into my reading because it provides additional insight, and I feel like when those cards are reversed, it has an important message to share. So I like to use reversals. So we are about to walk through the major arcana of the deck, and I have a special something about this deck, why it's even more special than it already is. So it includes this very beautiful kind of card here. This is the back of the deck. Now I will say these cards are very slippery, so they shuffle easily. Oh, I don't want to shuffle them yet, but they do shuffle energy. They bend really well. They're very flexible, so I can bend the whole deck with together, but they do have a little slip, so they'll like slide like that on the table. So I have to be a little mindful, like when I put the cards down, they slip over each other. So this says, let your intuition guide you. You are what you've been looking for. And I love this because it's true. And our intuition is the key to really unlocking the messages that tarot has to offer. So my dears, let's get started and take a look at the Fool card. I love this card. I love it. I love it. I love it. There's this beautiful circle of energy and light surrounding with these butterflies. And this to me just says freedom, 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 freedom. And then the deer, deer typically represent like gentleness and innocence. So to see that here is really beautiful. And I like too that this is kind of like creating almost something being created here, whereas in most tarot cards you'll see like somebody about to fall off of a cliff and it looks a little more dangerous. I kind of just liked how the Fool card was depicted. And then next we have the Magician. This is really interesting that it was not colored in, but I think it's beautiful because without the color, it's like you can create the color. It's like you get to decide, you get to color in what it is that you want this to be, what you want to create. That's what colors your life, kind of. So that is the Magician. I notice he has very intense eyes, and there's a beautiful serpent, and inside of that serpent is a spider web. So it's kind of hard to see, but there's eternity represented with, or you know, the life cycle with the serpent holding its tail. And then in there is the infinity symbol that we typically see in the Magician card. And then of course we have the different suits, the pentacle, the sword, the chalice, and where's the wand? Hold on. Oh, there it is. the wand. I was like, I know it's got to be in there. But I really like this card. It's a very intense card. And I love with the spider web in particular because that represents creativity. And I like that the wand and the pentacle and the infinity is kind of captured. Everything's kind of captured in there, but those look like they're like really stuck into the, onto the spider web. So it's like, you know, there's limitless creation. You can always create what it is that you want. And then here we have the High Priestess. To me, this is a reminder like that we are mirrors and that we always have ancestral knowledge and wisdom within us, and it's ever unfolding. And I like the moon, how you can see the different cycles and it's just kind of enveloped within itself, and also eclipsing. It took me a while to like really connect with this particular High Priestess card, and I'm not sure why, but I love that, you know, this is wisdom, and wisdom comes from experience, which, you know, the longer that you're alive, the more experience that you gain. So it's very interesting to see the High Priestess as a bit older and really able to impart some deep ancestral spiritual knowledge. Let me move these because my cards are sliding and I don't want them to fall on the floor. Okay, so next, because I put these together. So next we have the Empress. And she's the queen bee. I love the bumblebee there. She's holding her staff and her wand. I think this is a very beautiful card. Very much earthy, goddess, creative energy coming through here on the Empress card. And then we've got the symbol of Venus right there above her head. And this is the Emperor. Every time I see this card, it reminds me of, what is his name? Jovhannah. I think he's from South Africa. He's a musician and he makes really awesome music. But every time I see this card, that is who I think of. But this is the Emperor. He's got pine cones underneath him, which is wisdom. He's holding a staff with the Ankh on it. He looks very driven and very determined, and like he's not here to play games, but he's also doesn't give off the vibe of like, I'm a manipulator like some Emperor cards do. I like this. It's like he's a man about his business, and he is forever focused on moving ahead and creating something, building something. Okay, and then we have the Hierophant. I love this. There's some sacred geometry going on in this deck as well. I love all the keys and the jewelry that he is wearing. This Hierophant really speaks to me of wisdom, spiritual wisdom and guidance. This is someone that's not conforming to society. They are living wildly and freely based upon their rules and their beliefs and their spiritual traditions. I really like this card. And then we have the Lovers. Just animals here, more sacred geometry, and this beautiful cycle with the Lovers card. And what I like, you can see like one wolf is a little more calm and then the other has its mouth open, like they're might be like on the hunt or on the attack. It's kind of like the blend of energy that we have within us. We have you know, love and passion. And then we also have intense energies where, you know, we can lash out at someone, we can be a little hateful. Because too, like when we think about fear is like the absence of love, and what happens when you feel like unloved or love is missing, then you're in this energy, like you're on the hunt rather than just kind of relaxing. And this is a Chariot. I really love this card. Here in North Carolina, we have, or had, I don't know, I know they were endangered, but there were wild horses that used to roam and live in like the Outer Banks area along the coast. So this is what this reminds me of, you know, that free-spirited, you're able to run wild and free. There's nothing standing in your way. You're not closed off or fenced in. I really like that. I really like that energy. And then it almost feels like a portal, because with eclipses, they can be portals with like how the light shading behind there, and just all of this energy too. It just looks like something else is about to come out of here. But I like that. I love the horses. And then we have Justice. So Justice is card 8 in this deck, where usually this would have been Strength. So I like that this deck follows the traditional or format of how, you know, the tarot deck was created, where Justice was originally in this position. And as a Libra, this is so powerful to me because of, you know, it evokes the beauty of Libra. I love wearing like these long flowy gowns. I like high splits. And it's like we're always trying to balance on making sure, you know, we are delicate with our words, because boy, can they come flying out at times. Balancing, you know, forever trying to balance between our minds and our hearts. And just this ever like balance and harmony in life. And I like that this also looks kind of like the infinity symbol, the number 8 as well, which it represents abundance. And then being blindfolded, I think is very beautiful, because it's a reminder too to like go inward and, you know, not looking out to judge others, making sure that you are, you know, balanced and whole within yourself as well. I like it. Okay, and then here we have the Hermit. I love that sky. Like, look how beautiful that is. This artwork is truly beautiful. Truly beautiful. One of my dreams is to create a couple of decks. I want to make a affirmation card deck, an oracle deck, and a tarot deck. And I've been scoping out some artists and kind of saving their profiles as I come across them, because I'm like, oh, this artwork would look really great like this style on my deck. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but that's definitely been in the back of my mind. But here, what I like about this Hermit is it looks like she's coming back from a retreat. She's processed all the information, and it's like she's come back renewed and changed, and she has that wisdom within her, and she's like, okay, I'm good. But she's still on that journey back where it's still solitude. And two, there's no lantern. That's another thing that I noticed. So it's like you're the light. You are the light guiding and leading the way. And then here we have the Wheel of Fortune. I love the cycles, and at any time we can be in any of these phases in life. I like that there's the play upon light and dark here with the sun and the moon. I think that's the sun and the moon. And it almost reminds me of the Justice card a little bit, because see, here she's blind as well. Her eyes are covered. And then there's like a little bit of playfulness going on in some aspects, and other aspects, there's a little bit more protectiveness. So just depending on where you are in life, you could be going through any any range of these emotions. But what I like too is almost like, you know, when you're dancing, if someone were to like photograph you and then put all the pictures together, this is what it looks like. So it's almost a reminder of how life is a dance, and there's constant movement, there's constant change. Sometimes it's in our favor, sometimes it's not. And when it's not, learning how to navigate that just as we would if things were going in our favor. So I really like this. And it's, I like that her eyes are blindfolded as well, because it makes it a little more vulnerable. And then it's like harder to keep your balance when your eyes are closed. So it's really interesting. And now we come to the Strength card. So this is very, oh, that looks like the Empress. Is that the Empress? Not quite, but it could be. Not quite, but it could be. I was wondering if they show like growth in the different characters in the deck, but it does feel very reminiscent of the Empress. And this is a very powerful card. This is definitely Leo energy with the lion there, and just not being afraid and knowing that you have this raw power within you. So you're able to like walk on your path without going astray, having, you know, you're not going left, not going right. You are very much focused and confident in the direction that you're going in. And then here we have the Hangman. Oh, I did not notice that before. He's holding a bat. Just suspended there with the infinity symbol and the tree. I think that's the tree of life. Sometimes I get the symbols mixed up, but I believe that is the tree of life. And this is all about the sacred pause. And you know, when we hang upside down, like blood flows to our head. And this is all about like illumination and inspiration and really trusting the process. This is trust, because he is just hanging on to a rope. You know, there's no bottom in sight. So if you fall or whatever, then to me, this feels very much like trust and feeling safe. Feeling safe. So too, like with the Hangman, it's that the sacred pause, like between a rock and a hard place, and you don't know what to do, so you just need to pause and not do anything until you receive, you know, the inspiration or guidance that you need to move forward. I wonder what she says about the bat. Is there anything in here about the bat? I'll have to look in my animal medicine book to see what the bat brings. Okay, next we have death. I can see this tattooed on somebody. This looks like a tattoo. But we know death is transformation, it's change, it's rebirth, endings and new beginnings, transformation, the death card, letting things go. And then we have temperance, very beautiful with the fire and the water. Being balanced and free. This also feels very much like freedom to me. Now, the Devil card I thought was really interesting, because when I look at it, I see so many different things in this card. It looks like a moth, almost like a bear, kind of like an ox, but we can't really see what's on this side, right? There's only a little bit. And I think this was kind of made in that way. So when you look at it, you allow your intuition to come through and see like what's in the card. But this is all about attachments, bondage, so many things. And those look like little poppies at the bottom. But also sometimes we think the Devil's always seen as like a very bad card. And depending how it comes up in a reading, what I find is that sometimes it's like a warning sign. It's like, okay, watch out for this. You're overdoing it here or there. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something that you are giving too much of yourself to in a way that's not really beneficial. So when the devil card comes up to me, it's like, what are you doing? Are you really aware of the things that you're doing each day? Because when we don't listen, then the tower comes. The tower shows up to knock stuff down, move things out of the way, to scatter energy. And this whole thing is not really stable. So the slightest of, shifts or change, and this whole thing could come knocking down. But it was standing just fine until, this tower moment happened. And another thing that I think is really beautiful about this is like the mushrooms that are down there. So I've been reading up a little bit about mushrooms, and they have this massive like network of energy basically that's under the ground. And by the time we see, the mushroom appear above ground, that's just a tiny portion of it. So sometimes we don't see all of the stuff within this, this tower, within whatever energy that needs to change or shift until it bubbles to the surface. So I like it. And then we have the star. This is so pretty. This reminds me of those like go outside and look up at the sky moments. But the star is all about healing. It comes after the tower card, and this is all about healing and having faith, and the North Star, having your guiding star, and like regaining your focus, and just having renewed faith and hope. And I think the colors on here are so pretty. And then this is the moon, your inner knowing, your intuition. There isn't anything particularly that stands out on this card to me, except like kind of like the patterns in this background here, because we know the moon represents cycles. So this would be like, what patterns, what cycles are you repeating in your life? That does come to mind for me when I look at this. And then as a healer, I really like this with the sun and the hands here. It just reminds me of like the healing power that we hold. And then we have judgment. And it's interesting because I can see like the little shadow of, what planet is that? I want to say Neptune, but I might be wrong. Let me see if it says in here. I don't want to give misinformation. Where's judgment? Judgment. It does not. I'll have to check and see. But yeah, there's the judgment card. I always think of this as like making better decisions. How can I use my energy, the situation, in a more positive way? How can I answer my calling? What is it that I need to do? And with this kind of eclipse that's happening here, because we are the sun, right? So if you think astrologically about you being the center of your universe, like you are the sun sign, or you're the sun in your world, in your universe. When you block that out, right? How you see yourself, and really go within to see yourself in a different light, like in all of your glory, not just the parts that the world sees, but when you see yourself fully and completely, what is there? So that's something that comes up when I look at that card. And then here we have the World, which is really interesting because it's like an egg shape. And then there's the moth, there's a lotus flower, some other flowers and leaves and herbs, the moon. So there's a lot of different little things, life-giving things within this card. And more sacred geometry. It's very pretty. Okay, so now we're going to get into the minor arcanas. I'll probably go through these a little bit quicker, just because. But here we have the Ace of Wands. I really love the subtle addition of color to these cards. And then we've got the Two of Wands, the Three of Wands, the Four of Wands, which shows a beautiful crystal grid with some earth elements added in by and air with the feathers. And then we've got the Five of Wands, the Six of Wands is really pretty, and the different elemental symbols there at the top. And then we have the Seven of Wands, the Eight, which is one of my favorite cards in any deck, and the Nine, which is really interesting. It doesn't have that heavy feel that most decks have, where, you know, you're overburdened and everything is just heavy. And this is like, we're still going. It's that energy of the Eight in motion. Like it's still moving. So like it started here and it's carrying, you know, it's still moving there, which I think is really neat. And then we have the 10, which is where our fox friend comes in at. And then here's the Maiden, which would be the page in the traditional tarot, and she's there with the little fox. The Knight, who is just out there living his best life. It's almost like he's like at a concert or something. It's just being overpowered with, you know, energy, and he's got his pants kind of coming off. Whoops. He feels kind of like young and reckless, like that free energy. I love the hoodie that he's wearing. I really want one for myself. This wrap. Yeah, I need a couple of those. And then here's the Queen, and she's got her fox friend kind of curled up around her. And the King of Wands, he's quite dapper with his infinity scarf. Very confident energy coming through. He's like, I can create anything. And then we have the Ace of Cups. I wish there was a coloring book for this deck. I would love to color these. And then there's the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups. Because this is so such a free deck, I know when I read with it, the messages that I get are going to be different every time. There's the Four of Cups. Look how the colors change at the bottom. Very earthy down here, almost muddy. And then at the top, it's a little more vibrant. And then we've got the Five of Cups here. The Six of Cups, there's a lot of different animal, bug energies going on in here. Get caught up in the past and that spider's web. And then the Seven of Cups. I love how this snake is kind of like ribboned throughout the different cups here. And the blues in the back. Blue is one of my favorite colors. Ooh, this is interesting. The Eight of Cups. Really interesting. This looks to me like, you know how people say, you know, you burn bridges? Well, this bridge is falling apart. So you can't go back across it. If you do, it might be a little dangerous. And then there's the Nine of Cups. Very beautiful energy, which reminds me of the Wheel of Fortune. These gorgeous butterflies on the Ten of Cups. And then we have the Maiden of Cups here. And there's a serpent in the back that represents the cups. And we've seen that animal energy throughout the deck. And here's the Knight of Cups. He looks so calm and serene. And there is the Queen of Cups. I like when the person is reversed. I like to kind of look and see if there are any differences that the artist might have made in her expression or in her face. And this seems like an exact, almost exact mirror image. That's pretty neat. Okay, and then we have the King of Cups here, whose serpent is tied around his hands. I love that his throne, where it's kind of like, you know, the wings back of the chair here, it's like waves. And it also kind of looks a little bit like a dolphin too. Okay, so now we're getting to my special treat. So we have the Ace of Swords here, which is very beautiful. Love the blue. The Two of Swords. I like it. I like it. The Three of Swords. I love that this is not depicted as a heart, but a rose. And then we've got the Four of Swords. The Five. Now, when I came to this suit, this was my absolute favorite card, the Six of Swords. Look at that. How beautiful is it? This is like the beautiful night sky that I love to look at, where I can usually clear my mind. And then you see the trees back here, and then there's also the swords back there among the trees. What I also discovered in this deck was that two of these cards were included. How interesting is that? Now, I've never had a deck that had an extra or duplicate card like that, or one that was missing one for that matter, but I just thought that was very interesting. No other cards were missing, no other duplicates, but this card, which is why when I do my deck interview spread, I want to come up with a custom message. And I feel like because this card is in this deck twice, that this deck is here to help me where it comes to like shifting mindset. And so because this has two, I want to share the message with you of the Six of Swords in the book. This card, the Six of Swords, is about recovery from difficult times. After a period of uncertainty and unrest, you are headed towards happier days. You may be feeling like you're in the thick of a transition period, heavy and depressed, but keep working through it. Let go and surrender what is no longer serving you and listen to the guidance that resides within. Take this opportunity to reassess your beliefs and values slowly, exploring the depth and breadth of your beauty and your evolving internal world. You are moving away from your past and who you used to be and towards who you are becoming. This is a time of learning and growth. Clarity and more prosperous times lie ahead, so it's important you begin to chart a path forward reflective of your heart. Back your intuition and combine it with logic so you may sail towards the stars. Trust and know there is fun and hope for the future. It's time to make decisions for yourself and your life. Where I am in life right now is exactly what this card represents. I'm changing my business. I am planning on moving. I wanted to move out of the country this year, but COVID had a different plan and the border is still closed. So I'm just here, but I am very much in a state of transition. And I shared in the Enter the Sanctuary live session that I did, how July for me was a very emotional month where it felt like I was grieving, but I believe like it was me grieving parts of myself because I know that I'm growing and evolving into the next version of myself, and not everything can come along. So this year I have been like downsizing, getting rid of stuff. I went through my closet and like pulled out so many things that I want to get rid of. And you know, the past, so life goes in 7-year cycles. So I'm coming up on, Savvy is 5. So this is almost like year, maybe 6 and a half, but I'm coming up on the end of a cycle in life. So definitely feeling a lot of transition. And this year, with the energy that we've been experiencing and all of these retrogrades, it has been a very much like looking at myself very openly, very intimately, very vulnerably, and deciding on who I want to become and what I want my life to be like tomorrow. So this resonated so deeply with me, and I'm super grateful that this deck had this message for me to share. And I feel like many of the people who are connected with me, just, you know, through the work that I do and just my energy, that they're probably in a similar situation. So I feel like the purpose of this deck is going to be to help people get through transitions, which is kind of like the work that I do, but to really help people recover from hardships and difficult times. So super grateful. I cannot wait to get to this suit to share this card with you. It's definitely my favorite. When I saw it, I was like, this is my favorite. And then I was like, oh my gosh, there are two. What? So yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, and then we have the Seven of Swords here. I like that they used masking tape in this, almost like a sun, but I don't think it's a sun. Maybe it's another planet, because it's like you're standing in a different place, and it's like you don't know what this is to even like try to steal the swords away anymore. So I don't know, I really like this deck. Or maybe the swords are already stolen because all you can see is the imprint of them. Ooh. All right, and here's the Eight of Swords with this little hamster gerbil guy. And then there's the bat that we saw earlier with the Hanged Man, which is now like open and free. The Nine of Swords. And then this Ten of Swords was extremely powerful to me. I pulled this for my card of the day. And I like this because oftentimes, you know, we see vultures eating animal carcasses on the side of the road, and it's just like, ew, gross, yuck. But they play a vital part in our world, in the ecosystem, because they can digest things that other animals and critters cannot. Their stomach contains, it's so interesting that I know weird stuff about animals, but their stomach contains acids that allow them to like process decaying flesh, basically. And even though as grim as that seems, we need that. Like, what if there were no vultures? Then there would just be dead, decaying, you know, animal carcasses lying all around, things like that. But yeah, it's really interesting. And what really stands out is this red that's covering the sword. So this was a very moving and powerful card, but I do like that it wasn't showing a person or animal stabbed up and bleeding. So kudos to the artist for a super powerful Ten of Swords card. Okay, and then we have the Maiden of Swords. I really love hawks. More like kind of ancestral tribal energy going on there. The Knight of Swords, very skilled. All right. And then we have the Queen and the King. He looks like he is not one to be trifled with, and he will pick up those two swords in a matter of seconds and just off with your head. He looks super intense. Oh, the camera won't focus on his face. Hold on, let me get my face out. Will it focus now? Nope. But he looks super intense. Like, if you don't have his money, he is coming for you. Okay, and then we have the Ace of Pentacles, which I love this kind of bouquet down here. And then the Two of Pentacles. I love this kind of herb feel with the flowers, the daisies there. The Three of Pentacles. I like the use of circles because everything is connected. I see so many circles in here, lots of nature, and I think it's really beautiful. And this is the Four of Pentacles. And you see the little pentacles there. And then we have the 5 of Pentacles. The 6, sharing is caring. The 7 of Pentacles. And then we have the 8. The 9 of Pentacles. And then we have the 10, which we see our bear energy. And then there's the little honeybee over top his head, or her head. And then we have the Maiden with the little baby bear. Isn't that super cute? And it's almost like she's putting out her manifestations. Like, I am putting out my intentions into the world on what I want to manifest. And then we've got the Knight here with baby bear and mama bear. So our intentions are starting to grow and to be nurtured, because mama bear is going to take care of baby bear. And it's like, you know, we put the intentions out there. Now we're kind of like looking for it to come in. And then we have the Queen, who is like, look at the bear there hibernating. And then we've got the King, like, goal accomplished. I got it. He's leaning on the bear. There's lots of power energy going on here, where this feels very nurturing. Like, mama bear can rest because the baby bear has kind of grown up. All is well. We don't have to worry. I love how you can feel, like with these cards, you can feel the different energies. Like, you can feel the feminine energy, and you can feel the masculine energy. These cards have their own life. They truly do. They have their own life, and it's phenomenal. So now I'm going to shuffle up, because I need to get my cards back mixed up together. I hope that you enjoyed journeying with me through the Lumina Tarot deck, created by Lauren Aletta of Inner Hue. You can find her at Inner Hue on Instagram. I will leave that in the comments. And I think her website is innerhue.com as well. So I don't shuffle, reverse my cards, but like when I shuffle, let's see if it'll do it. Of course not. Like, sometimes the card will come out and I'll just, you know, push it back in, or sometimes it's sticking out like this and I'll just push it back in. So that's probably how I get reversals in my deck. But yeah, I don't manually, my cards just fell everywhere. Like I said, these are very slick, so I have to be careful how I shuffle them. I probably won't do this overhand method with them, because they do go flying. This will probably be more of the casino cut for me, because they shuffle so easily. The casino cut is my favorite. I love being able to do this. And they do it so well. So yeah, that's probably how I'm going to shuffle these, because they do just slip and slide a bit. I cannot wait to do the deck interview spread. And I think for the readings that I do with this, I'm going to use this as a significator to kind of ground the energy of that transformation into the readings that I do. But I'm really blessed to have received a duplicate card out of the deck, and I meant to email Lauren to share with her how that impacted me, but I needed to sit with the deck for a minute. And I think now, like, I have the go ahead, because I was able to get through the kind of deck review with you and feel very good and confident about using the deck, and really connecting with the energies that I see and feel from it. So when I got this, I did sleep with the deck. I kept it close to me, and I'm probably going to do that again. Before I did this video, I saged it again. Well, I don't know. Was that sage that I used this time? I used some kind of smudging bundle. I think it was the eucalyptus, and maybe had some sage in there as well. I like sage and using herbs in general just for smudging. I have this bundle. I need to see if I can order more. It smells so good. It is lavender, rosemary, and then it's tied off with some roses. It smells amazing, amazing, amazing. And they weren't very, very expensive either. So I think that is going to be it for the Lumina Tarot deck walkthrough today. This is a very beautiful deck. And see, a card just flew out because, oh, it's the Nine of Wands. Like, let's get it. They do very slick shuffle capabilities, but I love the matte finish on the deck. A lot of decks, I'm not able to do this because then the light or whatever just makes it glossy or too bright so you can't see. Let's say like this card, the light shows up on it. So I like the matte finish because it makes it easier for me to share the cards that way. This was a lot of fun. I liked it, I liked it, I liked it. This is probably one of those decks where I would be like, I need a second copy, but I can tell I'll probably wear this deck out really soon from usage. It also came with this very cute bag that I can keep my cards in. I haven't used it yet, but I did when I first got the deck. I cleared it and now it's got little fuzzies from my kind of cloth I've got down here. I cleared it and cleansed it with some sage along with the box, because I do keep my decks in their boxes. A couple that where their boxes have disintegrated, then I'll go and buy like the wooden box to store it in. Otherwise, I keep my decks in their original packaging and I just clear and cleanse it when I get it, which is the same thing that I did with the Connected and Free Oracle that I'm going to be sharing in a separate video. So stay tuned and we're going to take a peek at the Connected and Free Oracle. This is the back of that card, and then this is the tarot deck. So they're a little bit bigger, the Oracle deck, and it just has the one design, whereas the tarot deck has 3. So I cannot wait to share that deck with you. And the beautiful thing about it is there was no kind of like structure or like set order for the cards. They're not numbered or anything like that, but the artwork is equally as beautiful. So we'll be sharing that later. That is Pleasure and Pain. Really interesting. All right, lots of love to you. If you want to book a reading with me, come visit me over at spirituallovesanctuary.com or come follow me on Instagram at spirituallovesanctuary. I'll see you next time. Peace.